Welcome back, my temporally twisted time servers. I'm your quantum superposed chronicler, simultaneously existing in all possible moments while perpetually running late for interdimensional staff meetings. You're tuned into a special bonus episode of the Multiverse Employee Handbook, the only podcast that treats your perpetual motion problems like a violation of the cosmic HR handbook. Speaking of impossible things happening anyway, I'm delighted to report that our automated response system has achieved what physicists insisted was categorically impossible. It's created a perpetual loop of please hold music that oscillates forever without any energy input. The IT department is calling it either a breakthrough in quantum computing or grounds for immediate termination. Frankly, the superposition of these states is making everyone rather nervous. But today, dear listeners, we're exploring what happens when a Nobel laureate has an accidental epiphany that breaks the laws of physics. Because nothing says academic productivity quite like discovering a new phase of matter during lecture prep. Picture this, MIT 2010. I'm sitting in the back row of Professor Frank Wilczek's classroom, seat 17B, slightly to the left of where the temporal probability field usually manifests during quantum mechanics lectures. Wilczek is preparing what he assumes will be a routine discussion on space-time symmetries, completely unaware that he's about to accidentally invent the impossible.
Now, when we consider crystals, we see these beautiful repeating patterns in space, atoms arranged in perfect geometric order.
Standard crystal lecture so far. Salt crystals, diamond lattices, the usual suspects of structural repetition.
But space and time are intimately connected in relativity. So, naturally, one might ask,
Here it comes.
what if we had crystals that exhibit repeating patterns not just in space, but in time?
And there it was. The moment Frank Wilczek accidentally invented time crystals while preparing a lecture. A system's lowest energy state spontaneously breaking time translation symmetry, exhibiting a repeating pattern in time. It was like discovering that your coffee machine could achieve perpetual motion, except instead of violating thermodynamics, it was just creatively reinterpreting them. Now, to understand what Wilczek had stumbled upon, imagine the universe's most sophisticated game of jump rope. Two people are turning the rope at a steady rhythm, let's say every 3 seconds. But here's the weird part. The person jumping only jumps every 6 seconds, perfectly synchronized with every other turn of the rope. They're responding to the rhythm, but at exactly half the frequency. That's essentially what time crystals do. They're driven by external forces, but dance to their own temporal beat, oscillating at a fraction of the driving frequency while maintaining perfect coherence. Or think of it like the world's most peculiar employee. One who receives emails every hour, but only responds every 2 hours, yet somehow maintains perfect productivity metrics and never falls behind. It shouldn't work according to conventional management theory, but the mathematics check out perfectly. Unlike regular crystals that repeat their atomic structure in space, time crystals repeat their quantum state in time. They're essentially quantum metronomes that tick at their own pace while being conducted by an external beat, a phenomenon that should have been impossible according to everything we thought we knew about equilibrium physics. The key insight is that these systems exist in what physicists call non-equilibrium states. They're constantly being driven by external energy, but instead of heating up and losing their structure like most systems would, they maintain their temporal rhythm indefinitely. It's like having a perpetual motion machine that technically isn't violating conservation of energy because there's a cosmic accountant somewhere keeping the books balanced. The physics community's response to Wilczek's proposal was swift and academically devastating. Within a few years, Patrick Bruno, Haruki Watanabe, and Masaki Oshikawa had published elegant mathematical proofs called no-go theorems, demonstrating that time crystals were categorically impossible in thermal equilibrium. Their work was ironclad, peer-reviewed, and absolutely correct. It was the scientific equivalent of the board of directors politely but firmly explaining why your revolutionary business proposal violates several fundamental laws of economics. But here's where the story gets deliciously unexpected. Just as everyone was filing time crystals under brilliant but impractical, teams in Poland and Princeton discovered the loophole. While continuous time crystals were indeed impossible, discrete time crystals, systems that respond at exactly half the driving frequency, could exist in those special non-equilibrium conditions. By 2017, 2 experimental teams had turned theory into reality. Christopher Monroe's group at the University of Maryland used trapped ytterbium ions, while Mikhail Lukin's team at Harvard employed nitrogen vacancy centers in diamond. Both groups published their results in the same issue of Nature, proving that time crystals weren't just theoretical curiosities. They were robust, measurable phenomena. Then, in 2021, Google's quantum computing team achieved something remarkable. They created a 20-qubit time crystal using their Sycamore quantum processor. They demonstrated that these temporal patterns could persist for hundreds of cycles, essentially proving that time crystals could be engineered and controlled in practical quantum systems. It was like discovering that not only could you build a perpetual motion machine, but you could program it to run different software applications. The field has exploded since then. In February 2024, a team from Dortmund University in Germany built a time crystal from indium gallium arsenide that lasted for 40 minutes, nearly 10 million times longer than the previous record of around 5 milliseconds. The lack of any decay suggests it could have lasted even longer, potentially hours or more. But here's where it gets really fascinating. In March 2025, another team at Dortmund University observed complex nonlinear behavior in their semiconductor-based time crystal. By driving the system with laser pulses, they uncovered transitions from synchronized oscillations to chaotic motion, revealing structures like the fairy tree sequence and the devil's staircase, mathematical patterns never before seen in semiconductor time crystals. It's like discovering that your perpetual motion machine doesn't just run forever. It can also solve complex mathematical problems while doing interpretive dance. While still largely theoretical, time crystals are being explored for genuinely revolutionary applications. In quantum computing, they could offer stable platforms for storing quantum information, addressing the persistent challenge of decoherence that plagues current quantum computers. Their ability to maintain quantum correlations could dramatically improve qubit stability, leading to more robust and efficient quantum computations. Think of them as the ultimate quantum filing cabinets, information storage systems that never degrade and maintain perfect organization indefinitely. Beyond computing, time crystals show promise for precision timekeeping that could make atomic clocks look like sundials, quantum sensors with unprecedented sensitivity, and even potentially powering topological superconductors. Their unique properties could revolutionize wireless communication and laser technology in ways we're only beginning to imagine. However, we should note that many of these applications remain theoretical. One of the main challenges is creating and controlling time crystals in stable, scalable ways. It's rather like having discovered fire, but still working out how to build a reliable fireplace.
Ouch!
The physics is sound. The potential is enormous, but the engineering challenges are substantial. Current research focuses on making time crystals more robust, longer lasting, and easier to integrate with existing technologies. We're essentially in the proof of concept phase of what could become the next fundamental technology platform. Well, my temporally crystallized colleagues, we've reached the end of another quantum impossibility tour. Today we've learned that in the multiverse of academic accident, every lecture preparation exists in a superposition of routine educational content and accidentally inventing new physics, until a Nobel laureate observes an interesting connection. We've discovered that time crystals represent the universe's first successful attempt at creating perpetual motion without violating any laws. They're just very creative about interpreting them. Though I suspect somewhere in the quantum foam of reality, there's a dimension where Frank Wilczek's lecture was immediately interrupted by a standing ovation from the universe itself. And time crystals have been powering interdimensional coffee machines since 2010. Want to explore more accidental physics breakthroughs that turned out to be paradigm-shifting? Visit us at multiverseemployeehandbook.com, where you'll find fascinating science news and deep dives into temporal mechanics. And if you've enjoyed today's crystalline chronological adventure, why not share it with a fellow impossibility enthusiast? Perhaps you know someone who needs reminding that the universe's most profound discoveries often come from asking seemingly simple questions during routine academic tasks. Spread our signal like discrete time symmetry breaking. This is your quantum coherent correspondent, reminding you that in the multiverse of scientific discovery, we're all just professors preparing lectures who might accidentally break physics at any moment.
The Multiverse Employee Handbook was created by Rob Corrigan. The host, David, is a professional voice actor who has digitized his voice through 11 Labs voice cloning technology. All episode thumbnails are created with OpenAI, and music and sound effects come from Pixabay, which are generated by human artists. Everything else, the writing, jokes, research, sound editing, and coffee consumption, is 100% human-made by a human. No cats are harmed in the making of this podcast. Visit our website for more information about the Multiverse Employee Handbook.